Hi guys, I decided I'm going to do a video I've never done before today for a few reasons. And as you can tell, this video is going to be my VHS collection. Um, which I don't think I've ever showed anybody or talked about like the movies I own on VHS. Um, but anyway, to be honest with you, the reason I'm doing this is because, let me say that most of the VHS movies I own are up in my attic and in boxes and everything. So these are not all of my VHS movies, and I really don't feel like going up there and getting them down and searching for them and everything. So just the ones that are in my closet right now. And truthfully, these I'm planning on getting some boxes and taking up there themselves and putting them up in their cemetery, so to speak. Because honestly, I don't have I don't have a VCR hooked up anymore. I haven't in like 2 or 3 years probably. Don't intend on ever hooking it up again. So probably I won't ever watch these again. So essentially, they're just taking up space in my closet. And with that, I've been wanting to put my DVDs in the closet where my VHS movies are, to kind of make them a little bit more accessible and get to and everything. But that's another story though. I guess I'll get to my the actual point of this video, because this is going to take long enough as it is, I'm sure. But I'm not gonna talk about probably most of these. I'll probably just show them and move on to the next movie, because if I talked about every one of these, we'd be here all day. Look at my track record. But anyway, I'll probably. I'm not going to do these in any particular order. I guess maybe by genre, but I'm not going to bother alphabetizing them or anything like that, except if they're part of a franchise. But anyway, I guess I'll do the genres that I don't have very many movies for, in VHS first. And the first one will be the one martial arts movie I own, and that is Balance of Power, starring Billy Blanks. And it came out it's called Balance of Power. I think it came out in 1997, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, it's just Billy Blanks plays this guy who is a karate instructor, and one of his friends ends up getting murdered, and he gets pulled into this underground kickboxing street fighting thing that's basically run by this Asian crime boss. And essentially, the crime boss ends up kidnapping. I think she's one of his students, but I could be wrong. And that's basically the movie. Okay. Let's see. I guess I'll do. Next up are the two. Well, these are the only two I own, but they're the only two I could find. But these are the video game based movies I own. Basically, it's Double Dragon and Wing Commander. This is probably one of the cheesiest, corniest movies I've ever seen. Even though I used to love this movie when I was a kid. Obviously, it's based on the Double Dragon franchise. Stars Robert Patrick from Terminator 2, of course. But Wing Commander, I actually forgot I had this movie. I actually forgot they even made this, to be honest with you. But this stars Matthew Lillard and Freddie Prinze Jr. Don't really remember much about that movie, actually. Okay, next up are a couple of the superhero movies I own that I could find. I own the first two Batman movies, but they're up in my attic. So, so I got X-Men and Superman 1, 3, and 4. I had Superman 2, but a VCR tore it up, so I only have 3 of them. Don't own Superman Returns. Okay. Sci-fi movies. Starship Troopers. It was an alright movie. Didn't really like the sequel. Never seen the third one. Terminator 1 and 2. Of course, I love those movies, as you may remember. Independence Day came out in 1997. Will Smith. This is a movie I love right here. I'm surprised I haven't gotten it on DVD yet, actually. And that's The Last Starfighter, which came out in 1984. It's a pretty good movie, actually, I think. Okay, there's my sci-fi movies I own. Okay, I guess and next up are the action drama movies I own. Um, let's see. Okay, first up is Ghost, which came out in 1990, stars Patrick Swayze. Probably one of my favorite Patrick Swayze movies, or it is rather. Um, this movie, next movie I first saw it when I was in the ninth grade back in 2000. We had to watch this in my health class I took that year, and that is Outbreak, starring Dustin Hoffman and Morgan Freeman. It's basically just about this guy ends up illegally bringing a monkey back to the United States, and it's carrying some extremely deadly virus, and it ends up a couple of people end up getting infected, infecting others, and all that. Okay. Next movie is The Substitute, which I own the entire series on DVD now. Okay. And this movie is one I'm sure everybody has heard of, and that is Rocky. Yeah, good. It's a good movie. Okay, let's see, comedy. Yeah, and yeah, these are the comedy movies I own. Okay, first up is the Santa Claus, which came out in 1994. I got this when I got this. I believe it was towards the tail end of my lifespan, or my belief lifespan in Santa Claus, so to speak. Yeah, I was pretty much getting to the point where I was one of those kids where my parents didn't really have to tell me. I got to the point where I was beginning to kind of suspect that Santa wasn't really real and everything. Which, when you're a kid, it always kind of sucks when you come to that realization. But I guess that's the way it goes though. Stars Tim Allen. Yeah, they've done I think like 2 sequels since then. I think. Next up is Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, the first one. I have the second one. I actually forgot to get it. It's over there on my desk, but I have both of them. Probably my favorite Jim Carrey role, Ace Ventura. They did a third one, but I don't think I want to see it because I hear it sucks really bad. Next up is Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. I think I had the first one somewhere, but I don't know where it is. I couldn't tell you. Okay, let's see here. This next movie, I believe, may have been one of the last VHS movies I got before I officially went over to DVD, and that is Chill Factor, starring Cuba Gooding Jr. and Skeet Ulrich. I think I actually only watched this one time, but basically what it's about, I think, from what I remember, these two guys end up somehow coming into ownership of a bomb in an ice cream truck, and it's like they have to keep the bomb at a certain temperature, and they're trying to get it to this military base or something. I don't really remember much about it. Next up is Mystery Men, which I got this on DVD too. It was basically just this superhero movie based on a comic book. It's pretty good. I like it. Rush Hour. Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker. I remember loving this movie when I was younger. I haven't watched it in years though. This next movie is a movie I love even to this day, and that is Clue. I remember this was also, I think, one of the last ones I bought on VHS. But I remember in the 10th grade, just to tell you how much I used to love this movie. When I was in the 10th grade, there was a period that I was literally watching this at least once every single night, during that part of my life. Yeah, my father used to make fun of me about watching it so much. This next one is also, probably one of the later VHS movies I got, and that is Monkey Bone, which stars Brendan Fraser. It's kind of a one of those live action animated kind of deal. It's kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Well, actually, no, it's not. Come to think of, I take that back. I'm not really sure how to describe this, but basically, Brendan Fraser plays this artist who basically his most famous character is a monkey named Monkey Bone, and it's kind of almost like Cold World, if you remember that movie from what I remember. Um, yeah, for some reason, yeah, said like yeah, it's probably more accurate to say it's kind of like Cold World instead of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Um, yeah, I don't really remember too much about this movie. Um, yeah, I remember it being an interesting movie though, to say the least. Spaceballs, of course. So yeah, Waterboy, which actually is I've never been a big Adam Sandler fan, but this has always been my favorite one of his movies. Um, Mrs. Doubtfire, which came out like I think 18 years ago. Good movie. This one is actually a movie. Well, not well. It's Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie. Basically, it's just like the TV show, but in movie format. I was so sad when that show got canceled. Let's see here. Actually, I don't. This is actually a sequel, and I don't know where the original is. Which I own I used to own all three of these movies. It's actually a trilogy, but I don't know what happened to the first one, and the third one got torn up in a VCR one day, and that. But basically, this is Look Who's Talking 2, which is probably I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about these movies. I used to love the first one and this one too. Oddly enough, never told anybody that actually, but whatever. This one is an SNL based movie, and that is The Ladies' Man. Looking back, I don't think I don't think I really cared for this movie that much. Yeah, but whatever. Let's see. Next up is Men in Black. I hear they're making a third one. Hopefully it'll be better than the second one, because the second movie I didn't really care for some reason. I'm not sure why. I just didn't care for it. Let's see here. And this one is Police Academy. I love this movie. It's probably one of my favorite movies from the 80s. Sad thing is, the guy who played Hightower actually died recently, Bubba Smith. Just a few days ago, actually, I believe. I was sad when I saw that he died, because Hightower was actually my favorite Police Academy character. Yeah, it was too bad he passed away. Okay, next up is Weekend at Bernie's. Okay. Let's see, next is Tommy Boy. I remember when my oldest niece was 4 years old, she used to love this movie. I used to have to let my niece take it home like every time she came over, because she loved it. She always wanted to watch it and everything. I think it's kind of funny because in a weird way, whenever I watch this movie, there's a guy I used to be friends with, and for some reason I always think of him. I guess because he kind of reminds me of David Spade in a weird way. This is kind of how we used to be with each other. The way Chris, like David, how they were in this movie and in like a lot of their movies. Yeah, it's too bad Chris Farley passed away. Not long after this movie came out, like 2 years later, I think. But yeah. Next up is Deuce Bigalow, Mel Gigolo. Wasn't too crazy about this one. Let's see. Wild Wild West. It was alright. Another Will Smith movie. I probably won't ever get it again though on any other format. Wasn't crazy about it. And this is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I realized one day that it's kind of crazy because on VHS I only own Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. On DVD I only own Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So I just thought it was kind of weird how that worked out when I realized that one day. Anyway, moving on. Billy and Madison. Yeah, another Adam Sandler movie. It was alright. Certainly not bad. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's the first Austin Powers movie. Okay. Don't know why I didn't put this together, but whatever. Another Jackie Chan movie, which is Shanghai Noon. don't really remember what this was about. So I think it was something to do with Jackie Chan's character coming over to America like in the 1800s, trying to find this woman. Something, I don't know. Don't remember. And so next up is the movie Mannequin, which I like this movie. It was actually kind of interesting that last year, for the first time ever, I heard someone say they actually preferred the sequel to this. Which, I mean, I like the sequel myself, but it's just, that was the first time I've ever heard anyone say they liked the sequel better. But yeah, this one stars Andrew McCarthy and Kim Cattrall. Yeah. Basically, what it's about basically is like, basically this guy ends up, Andrew McCarthy's character ends up creating. He's basically an artist that he keeps getting fired from all his jobs and everything. And ends up getting a job at this mall, this department store, making mannequins. And he ends up making one that ends up coming to life whenever he's around. If anybody else around, she returns to her mannequin form. But then it's like at the end, she ends up becoming like a human permanently, whatever. Last up for my comedy movies, it's also a sci-fi movie, but lastly is Ghostbusters 2. I'm sure I have Ghostbusters somewhere, probably up in my attic. Anyway, that is okay now. Well, see here. How much time? What time am I at? Okay. Next up are my horror movies. See how I'm going to do this because they're on the other side of my bed, and I didn't have enough room to lay them all out, right here. So let's see here if I can get this. See if we can do this properly without screwing up. Okay, guess we're just going to have to do it like this, I suppose. Okay. Yeah, first up, Night of the Living Dead, both of them, both versions, the 1990 and the original. I know what I said about remakes in the horror challenge, but I mean, I gotta say this is definitely one remake I actually loved, and I will say it got me started like loving zombie movies, so gotta give it that. Okay, next up, well, I'll save these for last actually. I'll do my individual movies first. Next up is The Crush, which is, I believe, was Alicia Silverstone's first movie. It came out in 1993. I love that movie. Probably one of the first really horror movie, thriller kind of movies I've ever saw. Howling. It was alright. Haven't seen it in years though, so I can't really say. The 13 Ghosts remake. Yeah. It was okay. It's a pretty cool movie, but probably not one I would buy again. And this one is another sequel that oddly enough I only own this one movie, not the original, but that is Maniac Cop 2. There's another horror movie that had a very similar name to this, and it was called Psycho Cop, but they had absolutely nothing to do with each other. So basically what this is about was, apparently from what I remember, Matt Cordell was a police officer who was killed and who was framed for a crime he didn't commit and was killed in prison, I believe. I've never seen the original, but in this one he ends up coming. In this one he ends up. Well, like I said, I'm not sure what the first one was about, but in this one he ends up coming back, from the grave and to clear his name and everything, and that's basically what it's about. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I forgot to show this one earlier, and this is Labyrinth, one of my favorite movies of all time. Okay, anyway, back to my horror movies. Next up is Urban Legend. Basically, it's just this standard fare where this killer goes around killing all the characters based on different urban legends. I think they made a sequel, but I could be wrong. That probably didn't have anything to do with the original. The Lost Boys, good vampire movie. Dawn of the Dead, the original. and John Carpenter's The Thing. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. Next up is another zombie movie. Zombie. Gory movie. Warlock, starring Julian Sands and Laurie Singer. Basically, it's just, yeah, it's like this guy. Basically, it's like this demon or something from like the 1600s ends up, and this witch hunter from like the 1600s ends up. They end up getting transported to the 20th century. Thought I heard something. And yeah, it's a good movie. I don't really remember much about it, honestly. Next up is a movie from 1999 called Valentine. I remember enjoying this movie, but I've seen better. It's just your standard slasher movie. This one is an adaptation of a Stephen King story, and that is Pet Sematary. And next up, Child's Play. Well, I love this movie. I hear they're remaking it, but yeah, I guess we'll have to see how that turns out. I thought it was pretty cool that they got Brad Dourif to come back to do the voice of Chucky. So that has that, at least that has that going for it. Well, speaking of the Child's Play remake, I will say yes, this is going to be one of the exceptions I have for remakes and all that and reboots. I'm actually kind of interested in seeing how they do it, because honestly, Bride of Chucky I wasn't too crazy about. Seed I never saw. Don't really have any interest to see it. So it'll be nice to see how they do it, see how it turns out. See if it's any better. Hopefully it will be. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is probably a bit more obscure movie from the 80s. I actually could have gotten this for free not too long ago from an old friend of mine, but I just never asked him for it. He was giving away a bunch of old movies, and that was one of them. And these last two are zombie movies, and one is Night of the Zombies, and the other is The Gates of Hell. I actually don't remember if I ever actually watched this, come to think of it. Because I was just looking at these scenes on the back. None of them look familiar. So I actually don't... I may not have ever watched this, come to think of it. This one I remember not liking too much when I first watched it. But, yeah. Well, maybe I'll try to find a way to watch it again someday and see if I like it again. And I guess... Well, actually... I was about to say that was the last of my individual movies, but... yeah, I got one more stack over here. And when I say that, I mean like the other two stacks I have, they're basically just movie franchises. First, this and of course are the first two Evil Dead movies. Cool movies, of course. Two of the greatest horror movies ever made. Next up are Tremors 1 and 3. I bought this in Kmart like years ago. For some reason, the tape didn't play that well, so I never really got the chance to watch it that much. Part 3 was alright. Basically, had Burt going back to perfection and all that. The other one I have is a movie called The New Barbarians. Ironic thing is, well, not ironic, but thing is, I never actually finished watching this movie. I bought it one day years ago, probably in the late 90s in a dollar store, and I just, for some reason, never finished watching it. From what I hear, there's actually a pretty graphic scene in this at some point where it's like a male rape scene, and I hear it's pretty graphic, so I don't know. Maybe it is, I don't know. Like I said, I never finished watching it, so... let's see here. Oh yeah, by the way... before I continue with my horror movies, like I said, I mean, I'm just grabbing movies, so you can deal with it. These two movies right here, the one's called City Boy, and the other is In Your Wildest Dreams. As you can see here, I have no idea where they came from. I seriously don't. I never bought these movies. I have no idea where they came from. I really have no idea. They've just been in my closet for years. I have no clue. But anyway, moving on. This movie is probably the most pointless movie I have ever bought, and that is Boogeyman, the Killer compilation. The thing is, I say because all this movie is just basically different clips from different movies thrown together. Basically anything you can see on YouTube, essentially. It's really no point to this movie. Yeah, next up are basically the Friday the 13th series. The only three I don't own on VHS is Jason X, which I don't think came out on VHS anyway, so that doesn't count. But I don't own part 5 and 8 on here. So I own the rest of them, but parts 5 and 8. And while I'm on Friday the 13th, I wanted to talk about this one, Jason Goes to Hell. This is probably my most uniquely gotten movie in the sense of how I got it anyway. Well, I guess I didn't need to say that, did I? But what I mean is, the way I got this movie was from I got this for Christmas one year, probably in the late 90s, like 99 maybe, 2000. I got this from a relative who, the way she got this was, she actually ordered this through Blockbuster, and they basically ordered it, she bought it from them. That's probably the only movie I've ever gotten like that, so just wanted to point that out. Anyway, lastly is the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I have a new Nightmare somewhere, but I have no clue where it is. Probably up in my attic. But yeah, but anyway, before I end the video, I wanted to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street 3, which probably most people will tell you that of the sequels, Part 3 is by far the best as far as the sequels go, which I agree with. But actually, I think I'd have to say Part 3 is actually my favorite Nightmare movie. With the first one following close behind, but I do have to say the third one is probably my favorite. At least it was when I was younger. I haven't been able to watch them in years, so maybe my opinion would be a little bit different now. But at least when I was younger, Part 3 was always my favorite. So anyway, that is, after 27 minutes, that is my VHS collection, or at least part of it, as a good number of my movies are up in my attic. Oh wait, look at the. Almost forgot to show you the movie. That is, the last one I have to show you is Pumpkinhead, the original, starring Lance Henriksen. Yeah, that basically is all my horror movies I own on VHS that I can show you. So anyway, yeah, it's almost been 30 minutes, oddly enough. So if you sat through this entire video, thanks for watching. I had thought about doing this in just multiple parts, but then I got to thinking, well, you're either going to watch this or you're not, and it's probably not going to matter if I do it in several parts or all together. You either are or you are not. So it probably didn't really matter. But I hope somebody will sit through this whole video and watch this. But because heaven knows it's probably going to take forever to upload, even on low quality. But so anyway, that is going to be it for now. Thanks for watching, and see you guys sometime later.